Hello again, everyone. Melth here, to continue my Baldur's Gate 3 challenge run. Full details of the challenge are in the YouTube video description, but mostly I'm avoiding doing long rests, not using healing potions of my party, and trying to tackle all encounters with combat. Watch out for spoilers throughout this video. So, here we are with what in some ways could be thought of as the beginning of the run. Because now, at last, the forced rest moments are out of the way. Now I can do the entire rest of Act 1 with no rest whatsoever. I've received no healing so far, got nothing back, so perfectly executed so far, I would say. Now to start the long adventure day, it's important to buff yourself up properly. I'll start by just having a Astarion bite someone pretty much at random. It gives him his happiness bonus for the rest of the day, so +1 to pretty much all d20 rolls, which is incredible. Astarion is just the best party member for that reason. It outdoes any kind of racial bonus you can ever have.
Still breathing, despite everything.
Let's also cast our Long Shredder buff on everyone, and come to think of it, let's summon up Scratch too, to have another familiar to buff as well. Okay, so Long Shredder for those two. Casting a high level spell slot just kind of saves me time, and since it's a ritual, no spell slots to consume regardless, so just sort of efficient. Okay, there we go. Let's also have her cast on herself Dexterity, Astro-Knowledge to get herself Stealth, and Acrobatics, and Sleight of Hand. Stealth is the big winner there, but a few of the others are useful too. We should also take care of drinking elixirs. Now, tempting to have a Bloodless Elixir for Ballista here, but I think I should go with Vigilance instead. Right now it's really important to win initiative, and his damage is not really great, so he doesn't get that many kills, so Bloodless won't really do that much for him yet. You can drink that Hill Giant Strength Elixir we got a while back, and you can drink a Bloodless because you do good damage. We should also drink this Animal Speaking Potion, just have that out of the way. I don't have a great elixir for Karlach yet, but I intend to fix that pretty soon. Alright, let's get into it. We've got a few things I could sell, but I'll probably save that for when I get to Dammon, because I'll pick up a few more items on the way. I'd love to cast Mage Armor on myself with the scroll that I have, but I don't have a wizard yet, which is not, as I said before, required by the game, but the rules of my run say that I must only cast scrolls that have a caster who could properly cast, basically, so won't be doing that.
No, never mind.
Alright, let's jump up there and make a bet with this tiefling, and then talk to Zevlor a bit, perhaps.
Used to think the goblins are
Pink hair must be in this year among the tieflings. Several of them here in camp have it.
You did at the gate. Well, I still think they'll kill us.
The goblins are not what we should be worried about. The gnolls, on the other hand, that's a real problem.
There's optimism and then
Her hair physics here are kind of weird. It's all just kind of in one big bundle, and instead of smoothing over her shoulder, it all just goes in one chunk, which looks a little bit odd to me.
But if you're so sure we will, why not put a little gold on the line? Excellent. And since I ain't one to leave a debt unpaid, that means we're destined to meet in Baldur's Gate.
An excellent plan.
Looking forward to it.
How much further can I go?
Okay, down we go to Zevlor's little hideout. But we don't know that's what it is in character yet. Probably Bullis would think this is kind of an abandoned little stash of some kind, forgotten. So he'll just look through things and later on find out they probably belong to Zevlor and the Tieflings and feel a bit awkward about that. I feel like there's a bit more wine around here in one of these boxes. Maybe it was that one. Wine sells for a little bit, at least. Now he hears voices, now he's going to stop that.
Past those goblins. They'll find it.
Yes, of course.
And he sees Zevlor, who he likes decently well so far. So he feels bad about that. But it'd be really awkward to bring forward the stolen goods at this point.
If the Druids are this far,
It'd be hard to explain.
then it's not just goblins we have to fear. So we can risk violence here, or face it for certain on the road. Quite the choice, isn't it?
You could just go anywhere other than the road. There are plenty of other cities that are safer to get to, or you could take the river to get to Baldur's Gate.
You saw what they were willing to do to a
Again and again, we'll just see basically all roads point to getting rid of Kaga,
influence.
which Bullis is already happy to do if he can find a way to prove that she's a Shadow Druid so the other Druids won't turn on us.
A low thought.
Zevlor is a former paladin. We get a fair amount of his story as we go along, which I think is fairly interesting. I regret that he did not show up again in Act 3 until the very end, because he was a cool character and I wanted to get more of him, but he's kind of hid out for all of Act 3.
To get these people to Baldur's Gate.
Okay, he'll retroactively use it just by taking some of the wine here. If it ever comes up, he'll pretend that it happened after this conversation.
Leaders need to make tough decisions.
Bolus is sympathetic to that point of view too. Every day he wakes up and wonders why he's traveling with these idiots. So, it's a tough decision he has to make as a leader.
Be cursed.
Okay. So the adventurers that used to be in this area have left it. Yeah, let's push up some gloves before we open this chest. I think I should have the chest opening gloves, and you can have these, because I have ways to get temporary hit points on Ballista, but I don't really on Karlach, so having her take a hit is kind of for keeps in a way that it isn't for him. Alright, let's turn into a drow because it's one of the better looking disguises, and then lockpick that chest. No one minds, it's not really stealing, you just need to pick the lock for some reason. These items we can also pick up and add to wear. I guess it's just abandoned by the adventurers pretty much.
Maybe I need more pockets.
And daggers maybe we'll throw. Or maybe not. We have plenty at this point. I'll probably start disposing of some of the throwing weapons as we go along. These two don't really have any kind of quest going on. They're just, you know, we'll have one in Act 2, so we're talking now to establish their characters.
What's up for discussion?
And we'll have a dog, right?
They don't allow.
Sounds like a terrible city. I'm certainly more a dog person than a cat person.
A little orange cat. And a house with a little door so that it can come and go as it pleases.
I wonder when those were actually invented. I mean, they aren't that complicated, but I think of them as being more of a modern thing. I'm probably just wrong about that.
Thanks. I suppose we'll all need it.
What about you? Big plans for when you get to the city?
Ballista certainly means
I know
that.
what you mean.
Do we ever?
But I've heard there's all sorts in the city. It might not be like it was in El Terrell. I mean, in Baldur's Gate, they give you a chance.
Good luck to you. Wish us a little too. I think we'll all need it.
Surely destined for the slaughter.
Shut up, Dark Urge.
Perfect than to die by your love's side. And no
I wonder
love.
what this thing has happened while he just kind of spaces out like this for so long. These might also be allowed to... Oh, nothing in them. Very well. We can complete step 1 of Karlach's quest over here. Might as well do that.
How fares the search?
Please let this work.
I don't know what they're talking about. They call it a blaze of chaos there. Because, of course, devils are very lawful. They hate chaos. It's kind of a core part of what being a devil is. Maybe he means chaos in a more colloquial sense rather than sort of the fundamental alignment, law of the universe in D&D type thing it is. Notice that whatever he's working is always kind of obscured by the camera. We never see it. We never see how it gets installed. It would probably look very silly and not make any sense, given that she has her chest covered by armor and the heart is not exposed anyway. No check for this open heart surgery she apparently does on herself.
You'll have to
So that's
install it,
nice.
I'm afraid. I don't think there are thick enough gloves in all the realms.
I don't really love that. I feel like that just kind of shows her didn't fully think through this question, how it's going to enhance her heart and so forth in a in-universe kind of way. It's okay, I guess.
That feels good. I'm still burning hot as hell's hole, but I feel less changeable. Cheers, mate.
Pleasure. And as for the heat, I haven't got any solutions now, but I'm not giving up.
He does kind of just give up in Act 2. We don't really follow up on the state with the enchanted quillet, which should probably work.
Insulation, or if we had some kind of enchanted coolant. Find me again in Baldur's Gate. If I'm worth my salt, I'll have figured something out by then. Take care, Karlach. And hopefully the next time I see you, I'll have something promising to report. Pocket any infernal iron you find along the way,
Let me check one thing here about my camera. I'm not sure it's in the right place. Okay, we are going to try things like this.
Damon's upgrade didn't cool me down, but it did juice me up. I
Don't
I've
really
ever
know
been
what she's
more
talking about.
powerful.
She doesn't get any kind of useful power-up, she just gets advantage and saves against charm effects, which almost never happens.
Sooner rather than
The
later.
second upgrade will make her immune to charm effects. You know, it's nice, but it doesn't really come up. There were a lot of such moments where they'll portray something as being a huge change in character, but then nothing really happens mechanically, which is kind of a missed opportunity.
I could eat a giant badger. Is it almost time for dinner?
You know, Karlach, I think I just sold all our food and we'll never eat again. How about that?
Seems like a good moment to talk.
I guess we get food here. A one-of-a-kind item called gruel. You'll never be able to find any more of it. Eating it actually heals you, but rather than being camp supplies. Like 3d4, I think, or something. Ah, Dark Urge thoughts. I doubt the dwarves would taste very good. Probably pretty tough. I bet halflings, on the other hand, are just delicious. Probably marbled with fat because of their idyllic lifestyle.
If a gnoll catches your scent, you'll need every bit of strength. Trust me.
Delicious gruel.
Let me switch things up a little bit here. You know, before I disguise myself again or something like that, I should probably also just sell things to Damon. Shouldn't take too long. Wait a minute, it should take like 1 second.
Looking for steel? I have, well, something close.
He does have a hand crossbow. I could also buy this hunting shortbow. Some people like it more than I do. So it gives advantage against monstrosity type enemies, not just with that shortbow, but with any weapon whatsoever while you hold it. That's nice, but I have other ways to get advantage most of the time, I would say. So, I don't think I really need it. Anyway, let's get people equipped. So, Karlach, you get one of these, and I'll mark that to sell next time. And I was switching these things around because you'll be doing some stealing soon, Astarion.
Let's get going.
There's some dialogue here where Auntie Ethel makes it pretty darn clear that she's a hag, but I can't seem to figure out how to get it again. I mean, just being called Auntie or Mama or Granny anything is kind of a typical hag thing when they're in disguise. And the way she behaves is also classic hag behavior. I remember the first time I encountered her, I was playing with Mara, and I was saying 80% chance she's a hag. 90%. 100% as the conversation went on. And then, of course, it turned out that I was right. Again, we don't really have any kind of entry wound from Orin stabbing us repeatedly in the brain.
You need to look after that.
I don't know. Magic, maybe.
Aha! You take a sup of that and you'll feel right as rain, sweetie.
I don't think the potion does anything when we drink it. Nor are there any side effects, which is weird because everything else she makes has negative effects pretty much. I think it just gets added to your inventory as a moderate healing potion. Maybe I'm missing something.
Then let old Auntie Ethel have a look.
Sometimes there's another dialogue option that shouldn't appear this time.
First. Tell me what's at you.
I like to imagine that it doesn't just mean the goblin, but it means the strange voice from the sky that tells him to go steal things like wine out of boxes and whatnot. Find ways to justify it.
Were you hurt recently? An accident of some sorts? That could explain things. Shh, it's all right. All you need is a bit of love and care, don't you think?
I think I need a goblin cage to trap that butler and then interrogate him.
I'd make you a cuppa and tell you to put your feet up. Alas, here I can only tell you to be kind to yourself, Petal. And encourage you to browse my bits and pieces, of course. Let me know if anything catches your eye. Myself included.
Weirdly timed flirting in what is also typical hag behavior. Let's look at her wares. There's actually some good stuff there, oddly enough. So, 3 Hill Giant Elixirs. Decent. I don't think I really need that many, but decent. This is probably a pretty good early game monk staff, I would think. You'll outgrow it eventually, but good for the beginning of the game. Dagger lets you make Oil of Accuracy, so that's pretty good too. Don't think I really want to buy it off of her prices, though. Nor is it worth getting kind of approval from her.
Hello, Petal.
Well, I think Astarion looked at the inventory and he got an idea. So let's have you cast Guidance on Astarion. And Astarion, for roleplay purposes, disguise yourself. Tieflings will blend in here. And while they're conversing, he will come up and attempt to pickpocket her. He should have a decent chance of this while he has guidance. It's not going to be easy. The target number there lies, though, doesn't include your other bonuses, so... managed it. Very nice. I guess I might as well try for... Oh, that's also hard to get. Water bottles is somewhat useful. That would be almost impossible. Wow! Huh. As far as I'm aware, there's no downside for continuing to try this, so maybe I can get the dagger route off her. I've never had such good luck with this. What in the world? There we go. Okay. I'm going to look at those results. I don't know if you can see them. My head might be blocking it. For the class, I rolled like a 20 there. Rolled a 10. Okay, that one was easier, so that makes sense. I just gave him plenty of pluses, so of course I succeeded some of them. Yeah, okay, it looks like I just had decent luck, and I did a good job of giving him pluses beforehand. Okay, as I said, the number that you see there is a lie, so it doesn't really matter much. Let me say a few words about pickpocketing in this game. As far as I know, no one has yet figured out the entirety of the formula for how the difficulty class is set. With some experiments, I figured out part of it, though. However, let's start with the interface, which is grossly misleading. First of all, the target number you can see is neither the difficulty class, or as some people incorrectly say, the number that you need to roll on a d20 to succeed. Instead, it's closest to what you'd have to roll on a d20 to succeed if you only had your dexterity and your sleight of hand proficiency or expertise. Does not include other bonuses such as Astarion being happy or wearing the gloves of power, certainly not guidance or anything like that. So the upshot is, you can't figure out the true odds of success without knowing your characters really well and doing some serious math. So I think that's a pretty horrible system, honestly. Next up, let's talk about how the DC is set. That's really opaque, and I have not figured it all out yet. As far as I can tell, there are at least 3 and probably 4 or more factors in play. So most DCs start off seemingly around 10. Then, as far as I can tell, it's increased by the target character's perception. So their wisdom plus their perception proficiency. For some reason they haven't yet figured out, the hag in particular has about another +5 to everything. I don't know why. Then, the biggest and most obvious factor is of course the item's value. As far as I can tell, this scales up kind of like the square root or something. It's less than linear. So, at first it scales up quite fast with value, but when you get to really high value items, eventually even like 1,000 gold barely makes a difference on the difficulty class. So something like the square root of the value type function going on, I think. After that, things get fuzzier. There are a few things I'm pretty sure are not in play. One of them is rarity. As far as I can tell, rarity makes no difference whatsoever. I think that item type can matter in a few particular cases. Most items it doesn't seem to matter, but for some reason in particular, chest armor, and only chest armor, not gloves, not helmets, nothing like that, just only chest armor, always has a higher difficulty class than it really should based on its value, or based on its weight. And then, weight seems to be another factor that might apply. That might be part of the reason why chest armor, which tends to also be heavier, has a higher difficulty class, but it can't explain all the difference that I'm seeing either. And it doesn't seem to apply to all item categories. For example, I saw that a Great Club, which is pretty heavy but pretty low value, has the exact same DC as some comparable value but much lighter weight weapons. If it's a factor, it's a pretty minor one. I'll keep experimenting with this and see if I can find any other factors, but for the time being, that's what I've figured out. The upshot really is just to increase your sleight of hand the best you can. Get better dexterity, get more proficiency, get expertise, cast guidance on yourself, things like that. And then if you just try to target items that are not chest armor, you'll be more likely to succeed. Anyway, well worth a spell slot, I think. Can I also, while I'm here, swipe that Elixir of Giant Strength? Okay. With that, let's exit turn-based mode, group everyone up. She'll run away. She never does anything about any kind of theft like that, even if it's that successful, which is unusual. Well, now that we have more elixirs, I think Ballista is extremely embarrassed with that experience. He was just talking to this lady when suddenly Sergeant came by and stole everything. In disguise, but somewhat poorly. So he'll turn himself into a different face and move on with things. She was pretty clearly a hag, or up to something anyway. Now let's have Karlach drink one of those hill giant elixirs. It's not the perfect elixir for her, but it's something. Let's see, +1 to unarmed strike. I don't plan to do any of those, and while not wearing armor, +2. If that works, while shields are equipped, that could actually be worth something for the main character. I might hold on to that one. Give it a try at least. Because I plan to give him mage armor once I have the means to cast that. We'll switch these back up later on. Okay.
All is ash and meat.
Oh, that's the stupidest Dark Urge line. All is ash and meat. There are so many dumb random things Dark Urge will say as you walk around. This is the guy who knows about the Githyanki. And, well, Lady Boingzel will claim that she's all about just being efficient and straightforward. The cat's playing with window blinds. She wants to just bully this guy and waste time with that. I don't think that he's deliberately trying to give the tiefling a menacing glare here. I think he just is glaring and looks like a drow. And realizes the guy's afraid of him now too and feels bad about that. Yeah, I don't know why anyone really likes Lady Boingzel. I get that she gets better, but she's just awful here at the beginning of the game, in every way.
You dare interrupt? Has the tadpole ravaged your senses?
This is one of those times she just likes when you tell her to step off. Other times she, approves of it. I guess because this time there's another victim who's involved, so she doesn't get to have her fun.
On the road to Baldur's Gate.
He just wants to get this conversation over with at this point and get out of here.
Saw us, for we saw it. Jammed its blade through Yul's belly, straight to the other side. And I just...
Normally, Lady Boingzel will step in here with a charming comment about how she's surprised Githyanki didn't twist the blades around for fun. They must have just been in a hurry. Because Githyanki are awful, and so is she. Alright. Can't take you guys anywhere.
The last time a subordinate questioned my judgment, I ate tongues.
Think about this for a moment. Besides being that she's calling us a subordinate and threatening us, and boasting about having mutilated a subordinate for talking back to her, just think about how stupid that is, besides just viciousness. That's to get yourself surrounded by useless yes-men and toadies, and get terrible advice for the rest of your life. She's the dumbest. Dumb as a brick. And she's the one throwing a tantrum here. Kenyak seems to be some kind of expletive or such expression in Githyanki language from other context clues.
Purification cannot wait.
Whenever she says purification, she sure makes it sound dangerous rather than helpful.
It will cleanse us of the parasite. By covenant, I can say no more.
Yeah, he does not want to deal with this Githyanki.
If not over, then through.
Alright, we can take a few more conversations here.
Step, parry, strike, damn it! It's just not landing.
As much as I like this line, Ballista's not going to be a jerk to this random guy.
Goblins in the wild, out for blood, and the Druids.
Again, all roads point to just get rid of Coghead, all the problems are solved.
I need to be ready for a fight, but I'm useless with a sword.
Thanks to guidance and Mark of the Shifter, even that bad roll is just fine. Karlach really approves, as I recall, +5 for this. So if you want to, get Karlach approval, make sure not to do this conversation until she's in the party. In general, in fact, there are so many approval-generating conversations here in the Druid Grove, you should not talk to anyone until you have your preferred party members with you. You get a random battle axe as a prize here.
I'll bite my tongue when the time comes. Hopefully, it's just the goblins we have to worry about.
I forget what happens to Gwex. I'll be on the lookout to see if he's one of the corpses we find due to the refugees taking a terrible, terrible detour. Or if he's one of the survivors.
I saw you at the gates. You fight well.
Is he there? I don't think so.
A few words for the kids.
Spare a story or two.
Eyes don't match because of Volo's eye. You think that my disguised self would cover that up because it generates a new face for you? But apparently not. It makes your mask go away so you can fit into tiny holes and turn yourself into a goblin, not a goblin, into a halfling or whatever, but does not change your eyes, apparently. Or I've heard hide the hideous veins in your face if you do the partial ceremorphosis thing later on. Haven't tried that yet myself. I've only played through that part of the game one time so far. Now I could go over here to the Harpies and do that fight at this point, but it's kind of luck-based at this level, I would say. I'd rather come back at level 4 when I have more options to deal with them and just you can take them out consistently. Otherwise, they might just kill the kid we're trying to protect, because we can't possibly kill them all in just like the one round that we get, possibly if we all win initiative. So I'll come back and do that when I can guarantee, or closely guarantee, the kid's safety. Let's look at some of these plaques here, get a little bit of background. Not attack. Guidance. The murals here are pretty cool, and we get some history of this place from them. So these parts are about how they founded the grove in the first place.
Beasts chasing beasts alongside a wild woman.
Oh. It's supposed to say that the Druids are fighting with beasts against, monsters, but the monsters have returned. Which, yeah, it's D&D. The monsters always return. You can never, ever make lasting progress or change the status quo of generic medieval fantasy full of monsters, because then there wouldn't be a need for constant adventuring parties and going off into dungeons and things like that. I don't really like that about most D&D settings, but that's the most of how they're set up to allow just endless adventuring. I suppose a necessary evil in any kind of generic setting like this. Might as well talk to Silver. He, I think, is Wrath's animal companion, although Druids do not actually get animal companions in this edition.
Another stranger come to vex me. What will you do? Hunt me? Grab my tail?
I do wonder who's been doing this to him, because this place is pretty well off limits, seemingly, to most people. He never seems to leave it. I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to assume that he goes out and gets pestered by tiefling kids or something like that.
If you must.
I think there's a couple more murals looking over here. I do think that's just a nice part of the room here. It's a cool way to deliver some lore there.
In darkest hour, a concord made twixt.
So we kind of knew about this alliance with the Harpers against Ketheric Thorm's Sharan army. We found, I think, some Harper cache notes from 100 years ago about that.
But the details are vague.
That reminds me of something else I should not forget. There's a book in this room I want to read after this. I think it's over by Karlach.
The towers seized, the battle done. The
Moonrise Towers, of course, was Ketheric's lair. The lore is a bit confusing about who actually defeated Ketheric, though. In fact, it seems to be almost a contradiction. I want to see if I can maybe figure out the truth of it this time playing through, because when I played through the first time, it sure seemed like we were told two different things in different places. Because it seems like Ketheric actually won that battle and annihilated most of the Harper and Druid army, and then was killed instead, or not killed, but was defeated mostly by an army of devils, and then maybe the Harpers came and mopped up after that or something? But they also seem to have claimed to defeat them with no mention of an army of devils, so I don't know. 1371 was more than 100 years ago. That was back when the town of Moonhaven that we visited a little bit, that's now overrun with goblins, it still existed, before it was destroyed by the Sharan army. So, a bit of history from back then. And a little clue there about hints of a red wizard in the village south of there. West of here, south I guess wherever this guy was writing from. Sure enough, we do find that there was a red wizard in disguise there. Red wizards are sort of these tyrant, evil wizard people. Oh, that's Mark Royal's room rather than Nettie's. Anyway, they're from this country called Thay, that's just evil wizard land. Somewhere to the east of here.
I see you.
So here's Nettie.
Just give me a
We're here just because we tried to find House and we couldn't find him anywhere. In Canada, we probably thought we could maybe ask Vola, but there's no actual option to do that, and Vola wouldn't have known anything anyway. So, you're now kind of desperately just hoping that maybe his apprentice knows something.
There. It's up to her now. Life or
Notice her little thorn or berry type circlet. That'll be an important item.
Drow.
Moderately important.
Last time I saw one of you folk, he tried to slit me open. I hope you're more agreeable.
I guess we'll see about that, won't we?
That's neither here nor there.
I bet it's actually there. She's probably lying about that.
What is it? I do what I can. For most folks, that's enough. Come here. Let's have a look at you. I
will say, by the way, that she just used Latin for her healing words, vis medicatrix. I I just don't like that they keep doing that. I mentioned that before.
Maybe.
It's too recognizable.
A tadpole. A mind flayer tadpole. I'll do what I can. Come, follow me. I might be able to help.
He certainly has doubts about that.
This way.
So, stone wall she's going to open up with her magic circlet. Let's run on in there so we don't get anyone locked out. This can sometimes happen. Dead dry on the table, and a Mind Flayer parasite will soon be told about, I'm sure.
Don't worry
Oh,
about him on the table.
didn't happen yet. Usually
I'm
does.
not in the habit of killing drow. He attacked Master Halsin and I in the woods, leading a pack of goblins. Tadpole crawled out of his head.
He was
as soon as-
acting against orders there. He must have just been an aggressive idiot from the context that we get, really. And he wouldn't have known that he's captured by Mind Flayers. We'll find that out shortly. As I said at the beginning, that is not the way the Absolute Cult spreads. That was the Emperor just doing a wild and crazy thing on his own to try to get some pawns. At least that's the best interpretation, I think.
Rather too common as a
So,
thing.
sketch yourself with that spike-covered branch
Master
there.
Halsin suspected. A pity you got me instead of him.
Yes,
He
indeed.
understands these things. Studied them. Still, we have options. You don't have to be here for this.
Trying to shoo them out, that's also suspicious.
I have a vested interest in the outcome.
All right. Let's see what we can do.
She shifts uneasily, hesitating.
Of course, something's off.
Something's off.
It might. But first things first. Tell me about your symptoms. Have you noticed anything strange happening? I'm telling you everything you need to know.
Well, that's certainly a lie.
Leave me on that. I want to help you, but I can't unless you work with me. So, has anything unusual happened to you?
He must be careful how he answers this. So play along. He does want to help, but he's getting very suspicious of her at this point. This sounds like a bad thing to admit to. So does that. He'll go with this. This seems comparatively safe.
Protected from on
Useless,
high.
but comparatively safe.
Sounds like the drow.
I don't know what it just means about that. No true soul that we fight after this is any kind of special protection. They all die like
How'd you
anyone
pick
else.
up the parasite? Halsin was desperate to find where all this was happening. Of course I am. Lives are on the line, and not just yours. So tell me, where'd you get that thing? To hell's
And now she prepares to attack, so now we'll get into a fight. Which, you know, as part of my challenge, I have to fight everything, and so that's why I'm doing it this way. It seems like the closest thing to a sensible in-character way to start a fight here. So, just trying to stick by my challenge and find some way to make it make some sense in character. Oh, missed. Can't blind her then.
Won't give in.
She's still pretty easy to hit, as I recollect. Scratching it on it. Going to try to knock her out here. Do we have non-lethal on? I do. Okay.
The dance macabre.
Starting to do 2 attacks. This is the first round of combat. If you just straight ambush or melee. There we go. But we can't leave her alive.
You should take it.
After what just happened. At least that's what I think Astarion would argue for. He just argues for killing people all the time, I would imagine. But anyway.
Trust no one.
Trust no one indeed. So notice something. He's down a spell slot. I just gave him the Spell Thief Bow. If I get a critical, it'll restore a level 1 spell slot. You auto-critical people who are knocked out. That's a trick I thought of to get back more spell slots. You can only get it once per character per short rest, but still, that's a fair number of spell slots over the course of a long adventuring day. So, great bow. Great way to stretch out those resources. We can now also speak with her corpse, but better break the disguise to do that, because corpses won't speak to those who killed them. Living people often see through disguises, but corpses never seem to, for whatever reason.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Doors are locked. Well, sort of. There's another way to find out about that too. It's a pretty well designed area. There's many ways to find this information. We can interrogate the dead, or we can read letters and piece things together. It's just a well put together part of the game, I would say.
Wolf, Rune, Wrath. Find Halson. Knows parasites. Studied and wanted
So,
to.
she was going to just try to supposedly mercy kill us with that poison, basically. Never mind the fact that we've already survived longer than we should have. It's clearly something is protecting us.
The spell's
We weren't answering her questions, I guess,
You can
but
ask no more questions.
she also wasn't giving us any information to make us trust her. Alright, now you can recast Speak with Dead theoretically endlessly, but in reality this amulet always fails at some point during the course of the day. I don't know why, just maybe it's a bug, but always, at some point during the long day, the amulet will stop working for me, so I want to have other ways to speak with dead, not just this one necklace from the Tomb of Withers. Notice this, he does not know what we're talking about because they don't know they're tadpoles.
The question.
And likewise, he doesn't think he's abducted by mind flayers, because the cult of the Absolute at Moonrise Towers is subtle, and they parasite people behind closed doors without them understanding what's happening. Unlike what happened with Nautilus at the beginning. That was the Emperor totally changing things up. Since he needs to get his own tadpole pawns. There are actually more drow, and there were a lot more that apparently died in the assault on Joaquin's Rest. Minthara will correctly complain to Ketheric later on that she had just incompetent subordinates. She'll claim that if he had more drow, that would have been fine, and that it was the goblins that let her down, but really this drow was also terrible. We'll see he disobeyed explicit orders to not attack, and that's why she still doesn't know where the Druid camp is, because all her scouts keep just suicide attacking. Signed by Minthara. Do not engage, do not kill anyone. He attacked. So, well, we can pick up the Mind Flayer Parasite and unlock a new form of power-up.
This one is a true soul parasite. It can enhance you.
I think this is an interesting part of the game. The power-ups are not really that big, they're not that important, but I just think it's neat to have this other skill tree that can apply to anyone regardless of class, basically. I don't know any kind of lore justification for what in the world is going on here. Mind Flayer tadpoles, as far as I know, had not only no powers, but no intelligence till they ate a brain. They were just animalistic.
Pure potential. Pure power.
But these special ones, I guess, are different. Because of Netherese magic somehow or other. Well, Astarion will, even if you give him the tadpole, will complain that you didn't give it to him. They didn't think that part through.
So, you've indulged.
His voice acting is just great. I think, out of all the voice actors in this game that are for main characters anyway, he, I think, is my favorite. Mind you, I hate the character Astarion, but he's... Oh, that's a funny shrug there, but just, I think, wonderfully acted to be this type of character.
I admit, I wasn't keen to be the first to try it, just in case there were any, surprise side effects.
That giggle.
But now that we know it's safe, I'm all for experimenting.
Again, even if you gave it to him, he'll still have the same conversation. A little bit silly. But I think I'll give it to myself first. So, most of these powers that we can unlock are not really that great. I'll talk more about them later on. This one, though, is genuinely quite good. It will scale up decently well. It's okay now at level 3. It'll become quite good at level 5 and even better at level 9. Because our proficiency scales up at that point. We can read some notes here by Halson. If it'll let me. There we go. So this is where he's about to leave and then get captured. The magic circlet opened things up. The ruin that Wrath has, so another way to find information. And Tuffet, of course, was the lazy bear that we talked out of the way when she was sleeping on the elevator. Again, a confirmation that Mind Flayer parasites just leave their bodies when the person is killed, which should make our problem really easy to solve. If we just die, the parasites should leave us. But in any case, we'll ignore the obvious solution here. Alter, but we don't really find out how for a while. Okay, well, we should loot Nettie. If you got yourself Poison Fire, you can get that elixir from her to fix that. Magic hat to open doors. It also gets +1 nature knowledge. I don't really need that, but I mean, I don't have the other better hats to wear, so on it goes. So, out of character, no one cares that you killed Nettie. There's no repercussions for that whatsoever. Halsin doesn't care, the Druids don't care, nothing. No downsides, no side effects whatsoever. In character, we're going to assume this is kind of a disaster for us, basically, and that we now need to rethink everything, and probably will be fugitives once everyone finds out. So, but let's start looking for another way out of here, so we can avoid being asked too many questions. And perhaps Astarion will go and loot most of this room, and then steal the rune from Wrath.
Very, very quiet.
Mostly just books looted off shelves here. I might skim over a bit of that. Okay, that's done. So, to steal this, I'll probably want to cast another Fog Cloud, but I should probably have Leiboing Zell cast that so that she can then get a spell slot back. So let's maybe take off Thunder Ray from her list and give her Fog Cloud. And you, so that we don't interfere with Guidance, you cast Guidance on Astarion. And then, can we ungroup you? Great. And then in you go. Maybe in disguise, not that it matters, I'm just trying to roleplay here. At least a little bit. So you're going to get behind, and you're going to cast Fog Cloud, and then we're going to go into turn-based mode. Before it can get away, Astarion will Dread Ambusher Hides to do it as a bonus action, so he has his full action left to pickpocket. He has a pretty good chance to succeed here. He'd have to roll like a 1 to fail, pretty much. Oh, he must have like rolled a 1 to fail.
Fingers were too heavy this time. You've been caught stealing. What will you do?
That doesn't even make sense.
They believe you.
Okay, can't try that again, seemingly.
Indolence breeds madness. Unseen.
What can I do about that? Nope, not what I meant to do.
Keep your distance, darling.
This is some bad role-playing there, but I see little other opportunity, so that's what we'll have to do. I had to roll terribly to fail that first time, I think.
What's that?
So, we can now, perhaps once they come through, close that door so Wrath can't pursue. Can we do that? Is there actually a way to interact with that door? I don't know. That's what we would do in character, perhaps. Anyway, we can now loot this room. Most of these books, a few scrolls, I think. Scorching Ray is an okay blast spell. And another little nuke spell. Dark Vision is one of the most useless spells in the game, I would say. I've mentioned just how almost nothing in the game is ever dark, even in the Underdarker places like that. I think in the entire game there's like one spot in Act 2 where regular old Dark Vision on having like one party member or two with it was not sufficient. Okay, so let's put the Wolf Rune in its place. I was confused as a new player about how in the world the item combination system works. You had to open up the inventory separately than just drag and drop out of there. You can't put things... Oh, no, Astarion. You can't put things in from this menu. You must also separately open up the inventory. Alright, light up those runes.
Don't waste a step. Here we go.
This is just a treasure room we can get to later on anyway. If we free the grove, which we're about to do in a couple of quests here, by destroying the goblins, then we get this as a legitimate word. We're just going to claim it early. Nothing down here is that great anyway. But I think the thinking in the party was, at this point we're going to be fugitives from this place anyway, unless we find some way to win back into their good graces, so we might as well just take what we can and get out of here, because we hate the Druids anyway. At least, we hate a lot of them. So, the Harpers are just pretty much always good. They've been kind of behind every good event in this setting, more or less. Shadow Druids, we're unveiling a plot to get rid of them. They're nothing special, they're just kind of this group of jerk Druids near Baldur's Gate, mostly. I don't think these guys are in the game. And the Dark Justiciars are, of course, the worshippers of Shar, and they want to destroy the entire universe, because that's what Shar wants to do. So, loot these crates, most of healing potions and other potions. And poisons, I guess. Not as good as it sounds. Now there's that one, in my experience. A lot of the charm and dominant effects just don't work properly. I've seen enemies just ignore them completely and attack me anyway, even when they're still under the effect. Sorrow here is a glaive we could read about in some of the other books. It was the glaive of the previous druid, and then when he fell to the shadow curse that they're dealing with Ketheric, then this was put down here to remind the druids that victory can also be full of grief. It's actually a pretty good glaive, I would say. I mean, +1 is nice for the start of the game, but the important thing is a Sorrowful Lash. It lets you cast Thornwhip, which is a decent druid cantrip to pull enemies closer to you. But the neat thing is you can do it as a bonus action, and that's pretty darn unique. I can't think of any other bonus action way to pull enemies toward you in this game. So, it has kind of a niche use, and it's a powerful early game weapon regardless. But, Leiblung Zell can't use it, and Karlach doesn't really want to use it, because the shield is usually better for her. We'll keep it as an option, but I don't intend to use it. This is more about the Shadow Curse, which has kind of become an obsession for Halsin, understandably. An entire region has become basically hell on earth thanks to Shar. This robe is not that good, but I don't have any good magic clothing, so once I can cast mage armor, I'll probably switch to that for the time being. Alright, and then I think out we go. Not really great rewards, pretty unimpressive for that part of the game. Oh, there's Nettie, getting outfit to fall over again. We've had that bug happen a couple times. So here's the secret, sneaky backdoor exit out. Full of poison clouds for some reason. What we're going to do to get people past it conveniently, if it'll let me, I'm just trying to ungroup. Okay. I'm going to walk just Ballista through that narrow passageway. Then I'm going to click group all, but go through the door immediately. So they just come through with me automatically. I could walk the ball through single file or jump over, but that would be just kind of tedious. So here we have goblins talking, so we'll go into stealth mode to listen in on that. So, I guess they haven't found out from like a week ago about the fight up front being a slaughter of the goblins. And they're torturing someone, because goblins are always doing that in this game, just all the time. They are the absolute worst. They're also just being stupid, because this guy has the information needed, but they don't think of just waking him up and asking him questions, or taking him back to, you know, interrogate properly.
Well, this was more fun when he was screaming.
Let's see if I can make it or not. Okay. So, we can better stop them before they do anything to him. They won't, actually, but... Did that not break stealth? Okay, let me just initiate the fight so stupid things don't happen. I don't want to be abusing stealth here. If the game doesn't let them notice me when I'm not even being stealthy, that's a problem. So, I'll run people in and just get them out of stealth mode. Okay, Starion manually exit stealth. Okay, let's get on with it. I'm trying to play fair here and not let the game have silly things happen. Let's just have this guy turn off the rune, I think, before that tower shoots. You know, turret is what I mean. You know, I should have gotten some temporary hit points for killing that guy, shouldn't I? But I didn't. Maybe I can set myself up for a kill on that one. In any case.
On the move.
Let us throw perhaps a hand axe down at you. Barely alive, that's perfect as a setup for this hand crossbow shot. Oh, can't shoot him anymore. Oh, Scratch is coming over. Oh, he detected the treasure. And he's not in combat mode yet. So let's... Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I got the Dark One's blessing.
Victory awaits.
Alright, let's maybe set up a star aim for success here. Or not. I hate this part of the game where the Dream Visitor just tells you things won't work when they totally will work, you just need to roll a little bit better. Luckily he gets out of the habit after like 3 or 4 fights. Turn off stupid mode. Now I've got 2 actions, so I can do 2 shots, so we'll take it that one. Pretty easy to do that immaculately at this point in the game.
Best be careful.
Glowing, I was referring to that statue which we just disarmed, so that's all good. Let's loot this place and continue with things next time. Thank you for watching, everyone, and a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Master Knight DH, Jackie, and Lino, George Grin, Travis, Carlo Andrea 97, Gregory, Danny Hall, William Wakefield, Jeffrey Morse, Dylan Wagner, Just Becca, Jack, Austin Livingston, Mashas01, CL, Jacob Marshall, Nubiana, and Till Fisher. Have a great day, everyone.